Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talk Sports on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi. Many thanks for joining on today's edition of the program. We'll be having a series of conversation around the world of sports. We'll be talking football, basketball, and again we'll play around a little bit about boxing and the track field. But we'll be starting from the home front. Let's talk about our own league, where Romeo Stars steal their first ever NPFL title with Tornadoes win. That's talking about Niger Tornadoes. In the second half substitute, Olamilekon Adebayo proved decisive for Romeo Stars again, scoring a late winner in a 1-0 win over Niger Tornadoes as they secured the 2024-2025 Nigerian Premier League title with 3 games to spare. This shows how amazing they are this season. Following Rivers United's stumble in Kano on Friday, Romeo were poised for their first taste of success in the Nigerian top flight, but they had to dig deep against the resilient Tornadoes, who were also battling relegation. The hosts got off the blocks as quickly as possible, and Alex Oyewa thought he would open the scoring inside 5 minutes, but the header was ruled out of offside. Romeo Saints' sense of urgency faded with the disallowed goal, controlling the tempo of the game slowly without posing any real threat to their visitors. For the long run in the 83rd minute, Olamilekun scored a goal which solidified their win and then, gave them the victory with still 3 more games in hand, sitting comfortably at the number 1 possession with 68 points. Romeo Stars have now clinched the 2024-2025 NPFL title. So we'll be going on a quick break, and then when we return back, we'll be having more conversations around these angles and also look at the standings of the current Nigerian Professional Football League while we still have 3 games in hand. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Yes, many thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining, this is still Talk Sport on Global Television. Now, let's get right into it, though we've started already. Looking at it now, Romeo Stars comfortably didn't slip away so much, didn't lose so much games, and then they've been able to, win the 2024-2025 Nigerian Premier League title with still having 3 games at hand. Let's take a quick look at the standings of the NPFL, as we are currently looking at Romeo Stars sitting with 68 points, and also Rivers United following suit with 58 points, and also Abia Warriors with 56 points, Ikorodu City with 53 points, Eimba of Aba with 52 points, Bendel Insurance with 50 points, Kano Pillars with 50 points, and then Enugu Rangers, who are the current champions, or I would say former champions, are now sitting at the 8th position with 49 points. So still talking Nigerian Professional Football League and talking also about the standings, we saw a derby that happened at between Eimba, as Eimba defeated Aqua United, and also advanced for the battle of the continental ticket, and Survivor took another dramatic turn on March day 35. And then we are obviously seeing the significance and how the changes is currently happening on the EPL standing. But moving away from the standings now, let me bring you up to date with the story about how the match panned out between Eimba just this past weekend. The battle for the continental ticket and survival took another dramatic turn on March day 35 of the Nigerian Premier Football League, as Eimba climbed bargain rights in the Oriental Derby, while Aqua United dealt a crossing blow to Ikorodu City Dreams, crushing Ikorodu City Dreams, playing on the African stage. Now, Nnamdi Azikiwe National Stadium, Enyimba revived their hope of snatching a late continental spot by beating Flying Antelopes Rangers International 2-1 in 2-1 from Gabriel Innocent and Ekene Aweze's insider in the first hour of the People's Elephants firm in control. Though Rangers pulled one back through Chidozie Okorie in the second half, Enyimba held off a vital 3 points that moved them up to the fifth with 52 points, just 1 point behind Ikorodu City in the chase for the third place. For the Ikorodu City, their fortress took a hit as in Uyo. The Oga boys had gone ahead through Wisdom Ubani's 19th minute strike with the promise keepers of Akwa United fought back, firstly as Uche Sebastian leveled in the 31st minute before Kabir Osoba completed the comeback in the 76th minute, sealing a 2-1 victory. So we've seen how all of these standings are looking, and it's just so interesting that it's happening this way, and teams are actually fighting to make sure that they get to qualify for the continental and then also go and represent, Africa in the long run. Still talking, Nigerian Professional Football League, and then looking at this current standings now, we are still expected to see some significant changes based on the fact that come this weekend we still have 3 more games that will be played, and we'll see how it's going to pan out at the end of the day. But for Romeo Stars now, sitting with 10 points clear, Rivers United, there is no chance they can be able to, get back on this and overthrown Remo Stars. So just congratulations to Remo Stars, and then we just hope to see them advance further in the competition. So let's move away from our local league and then advance to Scotland, where Cyril Darcy scoops Rangers Top Scorer Award for 2024-2025 season. Nigerian forward Cyril Darcy has won Rangers Top Scorers Award for 2024/2025 season. Darcy picks up the prize at the Rangers Players Award ceremony on Sunday night. The 30-year-old has scored 24 goals across all competition from the Light Blues this season. The forward latest strike came in Rangers 2-2 draw with St. Marian's last Saturday. Rangers captain James Trevor won Top Scorer Award last year. TalkSport recalls that Darcy was nominated for Goal of the Season award in 2023-2024 campaign, but lost out to Robin Mantondo. Mantondo took home the prize for his strike in the Old Firm Derby against Celtics. Okay, this is just how well we've seen how Darcy has been in terms of scoring goals. Currently, as we speak, all of Nigerian attackers have been doing exceptionally well in their respective clubs, and leading just like Victor Osimhen, leading the pack of their leagues in terms of scoring and also creating assists. Congratulations to Cyril on this, on achieving this. So let's move away from Scotland. Let's advance to Turkey as Victor Osimhen relinquished Galatasaray's big win over Exor. Nigerian forward Victor Osimhen has topped up Galatasaray's big win over Exor, and men trashed their hosts 5-1 at recap of the stadium on Sunday. Osimhen contributed 1 goal and an assist in the victory. Galatasaray maintained the 5-point lead over Istanbul rivals, talking about Fenerbahce, following the win. The holders top standing with 80 points from 31 matches. Galatasaray are looking to win their title for the 3rd consecutive season. They are also in the final of the Turkish club, where they will face Razopol in the coming week. So looking at this now, Galatasaray are looking very, very okay, and Victor Osimhen looking very good, and this is the best form of his career. And we've seen reports where Juventus have said they are pulling out 100 million euros in demand for Victor Osimhen. Is he worth that? Yes, a lot of persons have said Victor Osimhen is literally worth that said amount. So looking at all of these angles now, we'll be moving away from the world of sports for a little bit, and then we'll have conversations around Abuja City League, which I have a guest in the studio with me who will be helping us understand and talk more on the challenges and how his team is managing to come back from behind and also winning their first 2 games that just kick-started last 2 weeks. Talking about who will help us have this understanding and have more of this conversation is Coach Lawal Daddy, aka Coach Milo. Good morning.
Good morning, bro.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of the program.
Thank you so much.
So now let's get right into it. And your team won again on Saturday, coming from behind. KOK. How was that matchup?
First, it was all good.
Okay.
You know, for me as a grassroots coach, I always harness the pool of talents I have in my team. So I match up the strengths that we're going to play with. I already know what they're going to bring, and I know what to give to them by the special grace of God. You know, so it's not a big deal for me. Most time I've been in situations where I have to use academy to play league teams.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Last year we saw your academy play in the...
Where we beat Bauchinet.
Bauchinet,
yeah,
yes.
We beat some other big teams like Hotco, like in the cities we beat Hotco. And the funny thing is, we beat FCT Hard Rockers. You know, we beat Hotco. The very day we beat Hotco, because all their players were big players. They flew in, and that was the very day they drove them from the hotel room. Yeah.
Well, we'll be having more of this conversation quickly after this break. Stay with us, please. Yes, many thanks for staying with us. Now we are still talking Abuja City League, where Coach Lawal's team were amazing, and then like you were likely saying before we went on that quick break, we saw your team defeated the academy in the Democracy Day game that was played, that was organized by the Nigerian Army. This happened last year in October. I remember vividly. Democracy, I think that was the day you played, the final was played, and your team was only the academy that we saw to participate in that competition. So how do you get these young ones going and having their mindsets to face teams like Hotco, Bauchinet, and the rest of them? Because these are the guys that are currently playing in the league. In the basketball league, just having the likes of Rivers Hoopers and Bauchinet, they are all in the same category.
True.
And then having an academy come, face individuals like this, and not first 11 or second 11 that they see in football. You face actually the first 5 of these teams. How did you have your team ready mentally to be able to face guys like that?
Yeah, first I told you, as a coach, I need to first realize the strength of my team, what we have over the opponent. Every time you have to face an enemy, you should know the strength you have over the enemy. You understand? So at this point, my opponent is my enemy, no matter how you say it.
At the end of the day, it's basketball.
It's all basketball, though. So it's just for that 40 minutes, we're going to play hard and tough. And one thing is, I have a pool of young players. They're just so young. So they don't get tired.
Okay, that means they outrun
so they are quick. They are quick. If you've watched the US played us before now, you saw the way the US play us. Apart from the US main team playing us, if they put a team of maybe high school or college players to play our national team, my brother, you saw the US players in one of the Olympic games.
That was in 2020 when we saw Ochoa dunking on
like 150 to 50 points. Nigeria having 50 points. Man, the likes of LeBron, Curry, all of them, they have to take them out, and the young guys were just outrunning our national team. Man, it's a whole lot of talent that we have here. It's a whole lot. I'm telling you, if bet me, it's a whole lot of talent we have here. For me, if I'm given the opportunity to help harness this in the area of basketball or more, man, we have a lot of talent that can bring any sponsor or go anywhere in the world.
Let's talk about Abuja City League now. Yeah. How, your team, on the opening day I was there, and then you ran there, but still they came from behind, and then they won by, I think, 6 points. And then the one that was played on Saturday, from behind again, they won again. So tell me, is this a strategy for your guys to start slow and then overtake, or is just, what the game brings?
Yeah, it's actually a strategy.
Okay.
Because everything we do it on training.
Okay.
Like you rightly said, the first game I was not there, but I was there. I was not there, but I was there in spirit with them, because they all know. Because we've all finished the homework.
Okay.
It's all about the homework now. We finished the homework. We've told ourselves this is how it's going to go and everything. And that was how it went by the special grace of God. Everything boils down to God too. Now, and the second game, like you rightly said, I saw the strength of the team, of my opponent. So we took their strength away.
Okay.
You understand? And we leave them with the witness.
I know what it means for someone to take away strength away from a team, because I take away strength away from some people's team. I can remember I did something like that a couple of weeks ago. So looking at all of those now, I think those are like good strategies for for a team to be able to manage all of those and then come back from behind. It takes a whole lot of discipline.
True.
Yeah, it takes a whole lot of discipline. So now let's talk about, since coming from behind now, let's talk about NBA playoffs that is currently going on, and then we've seen where currently NBA playoffs, where LA Lakers are on the brink of elimination as Anthony Edwards scores 43 points. I don't know if you watched the game, but Minnesota Timberwolves have put the Los Angeles Lakers on the brink of elimination following back-to-back home matchups after taking a 3-1 lead in the first round of the playoff series. Anthony Edwards scored 43 points. Performance helped Minnesota Timberwolves to win Game 4, 116-113. A miserable fourth quarter pushed the Lakers to the edge of elimination. Edwards also added 9 rebounds and 6 assists in 12 of 23 shooting. Julius Randle chipped in 25 points, and Mark Daniels added 16 points and 11 rebounds for Minnesota, who tailed by 12 late in the third quarter. Luka led the Lakers with 38 points in their 30-point outing in the series. LeBron James finished with 27 points and 12 rebounds, with Hashimura adding 23 points. At halftime, the Timberwolves had a 61-58 lead. The Lakers opened the third quarter with a 9-0 run and the flip of a 3-point deficit in the 8-point lead against Minnesota. Minnesota scored 9 straight points to cut the deficit to 2 points, but the Lakers' late 14-6 run in the third helped them to gain momentum ahead of the final period. The fourth quarter was one-way traffic, and it was fully dominated by the Wolves. If Timberwolves, that's talking about Minnesota now, drop the next game, they will have one more chance to wrap up the series in a Game 6. But if not, currently Lakers are on the verge of win or go home in the next game that will be played on Wednesday. That will be still away from home. So now looking at it now, Timberwolves came from behind, and then they were able to, maintain momentum and also find their balance and win the game. Looking at Anthony Edwards now, he's obviously very young, and then he decided to play. I don't know if you watched the game. Yeah. He decided to play LeBron James' man. Like, he was all over LeBron James, and it was a beautiful matchup. So as a coach now, you likely made mention of the fact that you have younger guys on your team and they outpaced the league runners, the league players, just like what happened when Team USA faced Team Nigeria, and then they had to switch up LeBron James, Curry, and the rest of them to be on the bench, and then they brought on young players. So how effective is it for you to have a young player that knows how to play on the team? Based on what we are seeing now and how the playoffs, the NBA playoffs is going.
It's going to be a whole lot of big advantage, sir.
Okay.
If you have a very young player that already understands the game very well. And that's why you see most of the coaches are always looking for players that just know how to play and not impacting on the players, you know.
Yes.
So like Anthony Edwards, he is so good, and for me, there's something I always say: heart over height. He has a heart over height.
Okay.
You know.
So he's not even bothered of the legacy that LeBron James has.
He's just a name. I said it here. If you remember, one time I was here and I was talking about the NBA. We're talking about LeBron James and his son.
Yes.
And I told you, I said, if LeBron James really want to keep his fame and everything, he should retire.
At this point.
Do you understand?
Yes.
He should retire. Because if you check and watch his games, there's a lot of flops and some flimsy excuses, you know, in the games, like some drama that he's putting on. Like, you don't need it. A GOAT doesn't act those ways.
Yes. So okay, I think he's actually now he wanted to have history of being the first NBA player to play with his son. He has achieved that. Now, looking at the current Lakers lineup now, I said, okay, let's take away LeBron James, let's take away Luka, let's take away Hachimura. These are the three big guys that they have. These are like their superstars who actually stepped up and helped score yesterday. So, how well do you think that this Lakers team can be able to, you know, outrun Timberwolves in a Game 7 series? Because currently now we are looking at it. Do you think they can come back from this 3-1, you know, loss that they are having? Because now the Timberwolves just need one game. If they get to win their next game, they've advanced into the second round, and then the Lakers is done for them. So do you think with having LeBron James and Luka and Hachimura, do you think they can be able to do something special that will, you know, give them a chance to fight back?
First, I know it's not going to be an easy fight. That last game is not going to be an easy fight because LeBron James and Luka Doncic and etc., you know, they're not just going to go down without fighting.
Yes.
You know, they're going to fight seriously. But I would say let the best man win. And again I pray there should not be injury. You know, I pray
at this
because
certain level.
the way the game is going, there are sometimes
it's very physical.
Yes, it's physical. That's why I'm saying that. You know, injury is part of it.
Yes.
I've been injured several times on the court, so man, okay, you know that too. I wasn't scared about talking about injuries. You know? So, but what I mean is, it's very physical, and the referees cannot be calling everything
at this point.
Because they have a rule that covers them. A referee cannot make up to 40 calls in a game.
Yes, true.
You know that?
Yes.
So you have to be very mindful of what you call. Despite that, LeBron James also is a kind of player that he's using his fame or like his name or maybe his presence on the referees. To like intimidate the referees.
Just like
sometimes.
Okay, hold on. Do you think you know there's this argument
like sometimes
there's this argument where they said Michael Jordan had the same influence on referees. Do you think the same thing is playing out now?
No. You see, if you talk about the days of Michael Jordan and the days of LeBron,
they're two different eras.
See, listen. With what LeBron is doing right now, he will not stand in the era of Jordan.
Okay.
Because number one, the referees are going to call a lot of travels for him.
Okay.
There's a lot of travels that go on that the referees just
I thought it's been called zero step.
I'm sorry, can I just say something, please? Now I'm on air, and everybody should, even non-basketballers should learn from this.
Yeah.
I call it the era where we want to present some rubbish, you know,
and give it
to
a name
to people so that it will be pleasant to the ear.
Okay, just like zero step.
Yes.
Okay.
And you say zero step. Now by so doing zero step, the person takes like 4 steps. I say zero steps.
In the name of zero steps.
Do you understand?
Yes.
I've seen a situation. I don't have the video right now, but I've seen they're all over the internet. LeBron James took like 6 steps
without the referees calling.
And watch them very well. Look. If you go back to the era of Michael Jordan and the era of LeBron James, you notice that pivoting. I'm a grassroots coach.
Yeah.
We teach fundamentals. You see, pivoting is key in that era.
Yeah.
They are really focused on what they're doing. But right now, footworks. Now, but right now, you see a player hold the ball, the legs move here, move. Like nobody's calling anything.
That's a lot. Well, let's still move on. Still, we are talking about the NBA playoffs still, and then looking at Celtics also, who are the current champion. Bolton Celtics hold of Magic to take a 3-1 series lead. Defending champion Bolton Celtics held of Orlando Magic. Now talking about Jason Tatum. We are talking about Jason Tatum now. Hold on to Magic at 107-198 to win the game for the first round of the NBA playoff. Jason Tatum scored 37 points and claimed 14 rebounds, making all 14 of his free throws attempts, including 4 in the final minutes. The Magic leveled the game at 91-91 in the fourth quarter, but the Celtics took control by scoring 10 points of the next 11 points at the Kia Center in Orlando. Boston, who are seeded second, are now 3-1 ahead in the best of 7 Eastern Conference series. And also, on the other hand, the New York Knicks the Indiana Pacers also took a 3-1 lead in the East. We are going to have this conversation now. I want to ask you a question. How important is free throw? Because we can see Jason Tatum scoring 14 of 14. That's going to the line 14 times, and then that alone is 14 points. So how important is it for players to be able to score free throws, despite the fact that it's 1 point?
It's 100% important.
Okay.
100% important, because free throws, if you calculate the free throws that you miss, can make you win a championship. I bet you.
Okay.
I bet you. I make that very, very important. Like in my academy, or you have to make like 100 or 200 free throws before I step onto the court. So by then your mind is already wrapped around free throw that, oh, I need to score. But mind you, free throw is one of the easiest but hardest.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
It deals with the mentality, your mindset, you know. So you have to create the right mindset when you're shooting. It's easy to miss it. It's easy to score it. Like if you check my TikTok recently, I just posted a video where I scored 30 straight free throws. 30 straight free throws. And some young ones are like, are you using something? I said, no, on my playing days, normally I score like 74 free throws straight. You know, which young player can do all this now?
Yes. So that means we can all have heard it from the coach himself that free throw is the easiest, but yet the toughest at the same time. So it's just, you know, for those that don't really know much about basketball, they'll just be wondering how all of these things are. Well, moving on, still talking NBA. So we've seen Pacers beat Milwaukee Bucks 129-103. The Pacers beat Milwaukee Bucks 129-103, with the Bucks losing points guard Damian Lillard to a non-contact injury. The 34-year-old, who has recently returned from a blood clot in his right calf, hurt his left knee or his left leg in the first quarter, and will have MRI scan being done later today. The Knicks edged out of the Detroit Pistons 94-93, but there was no controversy at the end of the Preston. Tim Hardaway misses what would have been the winning shot at the buzzer with no foul called as he was knocked down by Josh Hart. Talking about fouls now that you said referees don't have to call, we have seen how the NBA playoffs has been very, very physical in the long run, and the NBA itself is very physical. So we've seen how crucial it is for these individuals to be able to advance and also do what's better to help their team win. But with all of this contact that we get to see, even in the Abuja City League that is currently going on, is very, very physical. Like, the referees don't get to call a whole lot of things. But how do players now navigate, you know, this angles in terms of, approaching the game and knowing that, okay, I would be hacked. I would be, when I go for a layup, 2 to 3 persons will want to block the ball. Maybe luckily one person might get the chance to block, but the other 2 might just hack me. So how do players now, how do you think players will be able to adjust to this and then, try to make those crucial shots and those layups?
First, I'll talk about the refereeing point of view, because I did refereeing before becoming a coach,
Yes.
so to have the experience of when I'm coaching my players.
Yes.
When you see a foul, basketball is a game of contact.
Okay.
You cannot take that away from basketball, it's contact. Now again, when you see a call, and from your own perspective, it's a foul.
Okay.
But from the referee's perspective, it may not be a foul. Do you understand?
Yes.
So it's at the referee's discretion. When a referee want to win an argument with you, he say, man, it was at my discretion. This is what I saw from my own point of view.
Yes.
So you cannot kill him. I'm facing you. If someone behind me is watching, he will not understand if I actually hurt you. Maybe I'm pulling your hands or something.
You see why I had to foul you hard the other day?
Okay. Now again,
Yes.
it's for the players to also be smart. They say when the birds learn to stop perching, the hunters learn to start shooting without missing. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, if the fouls come that way, what does that tell you? What are they looking for? The ball.
Yeah.
Without the ball, someone is not going to hit you that hard. Now, if I had one of my teammates like coming on the same fast break I was coming with you that day, you will have gotten me with that kind of foul, because I'll just take you to myself, then drop the pass for him to score.
But we've seen how all of those things do play out in game situations. But moving on now, your team now, I think the next game that will be played is this weekend, on a Saturday. I think that will be like later in the afternoon.
Yeah, sure.
When the NBF will decide to drop the lineups for us and what the features will look like by the weekend. So what's the next mindset? I hear you're playing Abuja Bats.
No, we're not playing Abuja Bats.
Okay.
We're playing Kubwa Hornets.
Okay, Kubwa Hornets
Yes,
this time.
we're not playing Abuja Bats.
Okay, I know a few guys from Kubwa Hornets. I know a few guys. So what is expected to see in that next matchup?
Yeah, and as a coach, I've actually done most of my homework, like about 80% of my homework already. So I watched their last game. I saw the strategy, I saw the strengths, their weaknesses, so I know what to do next. By the grace of God, we all are going to come together and detect and train also to move forward to see we win the next game.
Okay, that's very key. I noticed one of your big mans have gone for NYSC, talking about Joe. Yeah, he has gone to the how was he missed in the game?
He was mixed though, but not totally.
Not totally.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
because I don't depend on one player in a team. Okay. I depend on my team, and that's why I always have team strategy. The moment you depend on a player, if the player is not around or maybe on injury, your team is finished.
You're talking about how young your team is. How important is it that you get to chip in education into what they do? Aside, coming to play basketball, they have to also go to school. Like I rightly mentioned, one of your big men has, gone to camp and is in camp now currently. Congratulations to him on that feat. So how do you get to manage, when certain players are not around, how do you get to have your house in order to, settle issues?
Yes. As a grassroots coach, I have pool of young talents.
Okay.
Now, the first thing in my book is not that I want to win everything.
Okay.
Because if a kid win, it's a win for us.
Okay.
And the motto of my academy is education first, not even basketball.
Okay.
Education, morals, then basketball. Gilalia Basketball Academy has been doing this for years and has been helping kids to get educated. And also when some of the big players or the good players go to school, that's now the time to showcase the other upcoming one that is not as good
as those
as the other one.
Yes.
And most time when I give them that opportunity, sometimes they make mistakes. Do you understand?
And then they learn.
Yeah, that mistake may hurt the team. I could remember something happened, was it like a year ago, 2 years? One of the big players we're actually playing a championship. And one of the big players would not want any of the young ones to come in. And because of that, I took the whole big players out. And he was like, seriously, coach? I see. And, you know, that discipline matters. The reason why I took the whole big players out was because he spoke to me like rudely.
Okay.
If I did not give him the chance to grow,
there is no how he was going to.
Yes, and there's no how he's going to become a big player. And today now, the other younger ones that I gave the chance to play, like Honcho,
Yes.
are now the people playing.
Well. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of Talk Sport, Coach Lawal. Daddy, I really appreciate you for making our time to join us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. So, still talking sports, let's have a quick conversation about FA Cup, where Guardiola City beat Nottingham Forest 2-0 to reach FA Cup final. Manchester City will face Crystal Palace in their third successive FA Cup final after securing a 2-0 victory win against Nottingham Forest at the Wembley Stadium. Pep Guardiola's side took an early lead through Rico Luiz and Jonko Grando's second half goal sealed a comfortable semi-final success. City can look forward to a showdown at Palace at Wembley on the May 17th after the Eagles won 3 goals against Aston Villa in other semi-final, which was played on Saturday evening. Their 4th FA Cup final appearance gave City a chance to win the competition for the 8th time and the 3rd since Guardiola's arrival in 2016. City lost to Man City, Manchester United in the last season's FA Cup final after beating their crossbar rivals in the 2023 showpiece. Guardiola is hoping to salvage a turbulent season by lifting FA Cup and qualifying for the Champions League via a top 5 finish in the Premier League. City, who sits fourth in the league with 4 games left, will go into the final as favourites after thrashing Palace 5-2 at the Etihad Stadium early in April. So looking at this now and talking about the EPL, we've seen where Liverpool defeated Tottenham Hotspur 5-1 to automatically clinch their title. And also now we are seeing teams that are fighting to finish up a top 4 and see how they'll advance to the Champions League. Talking about Chelsea, looking at how far they can come and win their next matches and advance. So Chelsea still have tougher games. This past weekend they played Everton and then luckily they were able to win 1-0. And also they still have Liverpool, who they'll be facing this weekend on the 4th of May, and the trajectory continues. They also have Newcastle United and also Nottingham Forest to face. Still, all of these teams are fighting to advance to the Champions League. On the other hand, Manchester United are still working themselves off to see how they can win the Europa and also not even have any conversation about top 4 or whatever standings on the EPL. If they can still remain at the number 14th position and advance into the Champions League, I think they would be able to sleep well at night. And also Chelsea and Manchester City fans, as well as Newcastle and Nottingham Forest fans, are currently going on a loggerhead to see how their team will be able to advance into the Champions League for 2025-2026 the season. So there's just a whole lot of action that will still be coming up. But as it stands now, Liverpool have clinched her 20th trophy, EPL trophy, and congratulations to them. Celebrations are obviously going on, and the summer is here. A whole lot of transfer talks is coming. We've seen where Alexander Arnold is hearing news that he would be leaving Liverpool and be advancing and be going to Real Madrid. Real Madrid didn't really have a very good weekend as they suffered a defeat at the hands of Barcelona, and Barcelona lifted the trophy. Champions League will still be coming up in the next couple of weeks, where we'll be seeing where Arsenal will be facing PSG and Barcelona will be facing Inter Milan at the semi-final. So there's just a whole lot that will still happen within the short period of time that is remaining in the clock of football. So we'll have all of those conversations and more in the coming days. My name is Samuel Odi. Many thanks for joining on today's edition of Talk Sport. I'll see you again as we talk more sports. Bye for now.